My call to adventure was lockdown. That's what made me change my life around a little. Everyone was running, wasn't it? This crazy fucking bloke popped up who was doing a Welsh coastal path.
Obviously, lockdown was fucking awful, but the amount of positive things that have come from individuals' lives from it.
If you can do it, it's a blessing to be in the pain. No regrets, because I enjoyed it. It makes you think, what challenges could I have done? The 4 and 4 really disappointed me. I didn't give them the respect they deserved. I did comfortable being uncomfortable. I broke when I saw her. Like, I gave her a big hug, I had a little cry. You never fail, you learn, don't you?
Welcome back to the Adventure Athletes podcast, world's #1 podcast for adventure athletes, celebrating those going through virtuous struggle in order to benefit the world around them. In this week's episode, I sit down with Jacob Lambert, who ran from North to South Wales in just 5 days. He's also run from West to East Wales in 4 days as well, so he is doing some incredible things. In this week's episode, we talk about the impact of lockdown, setting your own challenges, why pain is a blessing, previous disappointments with challenges, and the impact of failure. Now, at the end of each episode, our guest sets a weekly challenge for you guys to take part in and join the Adventure Athlete community. Talking about community, we have got a WhatsApp group and a little community building together where we're supporting each other, go through different challenges, and there's also free resources, free training programs, and much more on its way to that group too. At the start of each episode, I like to give a shout out to help build the Adventure Athlete community. You can see a bit of a theme going here. And this week's shout out is going to go to everyone that is running the Epona 100. Now, by the time the podcast comes out, everyone that is running would have finished, but as of today, they're still out there, they're still going. I've just been down to support some of them, and they are doing an incredible job. So make sure you go check it out. It's an incredible race running through the Brecons in South Wales, 100 miles. Like, who can even contemplate running that distance, really? As you know, I've got my own fundraiser and my own challenge going where I'm going to be flipping a tyre for a marathon. So if you want to find out more about that, more about the guest, and anything else Adventure Athletes, please check the links in the description below. But for now, enjoy the podcast. What is your call to adventure?
My call to adventure came from... My call to adventure was lockdown. My call to adventure was lockdown. That's what made me change my life around a little bit and decide I'm going to do some fucking stupid things to myself. Yeah, it was lockdown, or maybe just before lockdown. My life wasn't going as well as it could have been going. I was pushing. I never really actually weighed myself, but I was between 16 and 17 stone, between there somewhere, going into 2020, and which is when lockdown came in. I just started going to the gym, and then we came into lockdown, and I wasn't happy with my life at all. Like, I'd never been a big boy, and then all of a sudden, in the space of 5-6 years, piled on 4 or 5 stone. So I started going to the gym, lost a little bit, and then lockdown came in. Mate, I had nothing to do except to go for a run, just to get outdoors, walk, run, and that kind of gave me the kick up the arse I needed. It was doing that made me realise I don't need to be out on a piss every weekend. I don't need to be doing stuff I shouldn't be doing. I don't need to be stuffing my face constantly. Like, being out, running, walking, just getting your vitamin D in, you're getting all that in. Like, doing that made me realise this is what life can be like. You don't need to be doing all that to be in a good place. I realised I don't need to be out on a piss every weekend. Look after your body, look after yourself. Don't neglect your fun times, don't neglect anything like that. But yeah, what changed my life was lockdown. That was what gave me a real sense of doing running anyway. Running, that's what changed it for me, was lockdown. Thinking I had no choice. You couldn't go to the gym, they were all shut. Yeah. I'd never run more than a mile in my life before May of 2020. Except maybe cross countries in school, but yeah, May of 2020 was when I realised, this is actually isn't that bad. Get out, do some running, and get your feet moving. And then it was Reece Jenkins. We were in lockdown, and when we went into lockdown, everyone was running, wasn't they? There was nothing else for anyone to do. And then this crazy fucking bloke popped up who was doing a Welsh coastal path at some point in lockdown, which was before I'd done my first challenge. he popped up on my social media feed, and I thought, that is a bit of me, that. Now I've realised I can actually run. I'm going to try and do what this guy's doing. I'm just going to go hell for leather a couple of times and just go for it. Yeah, Reese was... I ended up speaking to him before I did my first challenge, but the call to adventure for me was... I woke up one day and wasn't happy with the way my life was going. Lockdown came in. I just figured I need to lose some weight and look after my body a bit more. Nothing was really going the way it should have been going. And now my whole life is completely different, really, which I put it down to, which I genuinely put down to running and taking better care of myself. 100%. Yeah, I think it was a lot of lockdown and seeing Rhys Jenkins' posts about his Welsh coastal path that made me think, this is fun.
Yeah, it's not what everyone would call fun, I'm not gonna lie. Seeing someone literally abuse their body for... How long did it take him again?
20... His record, I think his record's been broke now, but when he did it, it was 20 days and something hours. And it was... fun's definitely the wrong word, isn't it? But it was just the sense of... He said it himself, it was nothing... To me, the bloke is an animal, he's a machine. But even he has said there was nothing special about him. I'm not quoting him directly, he probably said something slightly different. But he'd said on videos and stuff that he was doing this, but he wasn't like ripped to shreds, he wasn't in incredible physical condition. It's what he loved doing, and he knew he could do it, and it was worth the torture to be able to say, I've done this. That's what made me want to do it. It's like, if this guy can do it, and he's saying anyone can do it, anyone can do something, but I'm not going to do what he did. I'm fine, thanks. I'm not going to attempt to do that. But it just gave me the kick up the arse I needed, seeing someone doing something mental like that. And then when we were in lockdown, you were seeing it on the news. There was people doing like marathons around their back gardens and stuff, wasn't there? Just anything of a certain nature that made me realise, I can do this. I've got no reason not to. I ended up losing from about start of 2020. I was just under 16 by then. And then just before I did my first challenge, which I'm sure we're going to go on to, I was around 11 and a half in 2021. So dropped about 5.5 stone in the course of a year, which I genuinely put down to running and hitting the ones and twos, as the local around Africa calls it.
This actually like a topic I've wanted to explore in this podcast for a while, is how lockdown has almost been a catalyst for people to get into this side of things. Because the amount of people that I've met where obviously lockdown was fucking awful and we all hated it, but the amount of positive things that have come from individuals' lives from it, like, it's unmatched. Like, there's nothing else that's happened that's sort of had that effect on people and being like, you know what, like, I'm going to change my life. And I think you're just testament to that. So what do you think it was about lockdown that's caused all these changes?
It's a generational thing, isn't it? It was the thing that's changed our generation. It's going to be talked about in history classes in years to come, isn't it? But I think, as much as I hate this sometimes, social media, lockdown was terrible. It was a terrible thing, but for certain people to pick it up in a certain light, the world really came together. They really backed each other. Everyone was supportive of anything anyone was doing, and social media was a real testament of that. You could see anyone was giving encouragement to anyone who was doing anything outdoors, any form of exercise. People had time on their hands. People were probably scrolling social media all day, every day. I was still working at the time. I was working from home. But I think social media and people posting all the challenges they were doing online, it just gave credit to me, it gave credit to everyone else who attempted to want to do things. I mean, it was because of social media I saw what Rhys Jenkins was doing, and that's what gave me a push to want to do something myself. But I think it gave people time in their lives. For me, it gave people a chance to reflect on their lives. It gave people time in their lives to realise the mistakes they were making with their lives and things they wanted to change. We all had time off from life. Even if you were still working, you had time off from life. You couldn't do anything. There was literally nothing to do. Everything was shut. You could go shopping. People probably were still seeing family and friends early on, but I know I never. Don't know if you did, but yeah, people you couldn't see your family, you literally saw the people you lived with, and you could do exercise outdoors and you could go shopping. There was nothing, you couldn't do anything else. I think it gave everyone a big chance to reflect on their lives and the changes they wanted to make within their own lives. That's what it did for me personally. Because like I said, I was going out on a piss every weekend. That's what I was doing, and then all of a sudden, football's cancelled. Can't see all your mates. You can't do anything, can you? So you are literally sat there reflecting about the changes you want to make in your life. I'm not going to pretend I don't like going out for beers with the boys now. We're only human. But I know I don't do it every weekend. And it was lockdown that made me realise I don't want to do that ever again, because you end up feeling shit. You're not looking after yourself. But yeah, I think it was just a massive chance for everyone to reflect on their lives, and it gave everyone a chance to make changes they wanted to make. That's what I think, anyway.
Yeah. See, I've always seen it from a different perspective, because I was doing all the stuff I wanted to do before lockdown kicked in. I was a firefighter, I was doing my challenges, I had like big goals of things I wanted to do, and I was just living the life that I wanted. And then lockdown happened, and then I was homeless, and then I broke my ankle, and it just like fucked my life completely. Like, irrelevant of lockdown, just those events happened in lockdown, and then it was just like, oh well, now what do I do? Because I can't be a firefighter now because my ankle's fucked. I was homeless for 6 months. I didn't really have anything to do, and then it was just like, after that I was just depressed for 2 years coming out of lockdown, and it was like my life changed for the worse because of lockdown. So then seeing all these other people, like, it's been amazing talking to people and be like, oh, there were positives that have come out of this, as negative experience as it is for everyone and traumatizing as it was, and like all the deaths that happened and everything, like there are positives and people have changed their lives. And it's just nice for me to see that and be like, well, I'm back where I want to be now, so...
You can reflect on it and realise that wasn't the end. It was just a learning curve, and it probably made you stronger, if anything.
Yeah.
Now you're going to try flip a fucking tyre for a marathon. So stupid.
Oh, honestly, I went to physio the other day. Went to a new physio, funnily enough recommended by Nathan. And I was like, went there, and I've had this issue with my upper back for like 2 years, completely irrelevant of my tyre flips. I've been to a few different physios, nothing's helped, so I was like, I'll try a new one, see if this one's got any advice. And I put in the form, like, I know you're going to say it's because I'm doing this tyre flip marathon training. I can tell you it's got nothing to do with it. Like, please just don't bring it up. Half hour, the woman was just telling me how my expectations are too high and I shouldn't be trying to flip a tyre for a marathon. And I was like, I'm not really paying you to tell me that. Like, I'm going to do it anyway.
I think I asked you not to tell me. But yeah, no, I think in lockdown hit everyone different ways. Like, I mean, if it wasn't for lockdown, for me personally, my life would be completely different. Like, if the lockdown hadn't happened, I don't know what would have happened. Like, my life wouldn't be the way it is now. It gave me the confidence I started running in lockdown, which then helped me lose 4.5, 5 stone, and then it got to the point where I really hated my job. I hated sitting on my ass all day, every day. I could not stand it. I was working in a call centre, and it gave me the confidence to move into a new career where I was able to be on my feet, which is what I wanted to do. And if you told me that 5 years ago, you're going to have an active job where you're on your feet, I would have said absolutely not. I'm fine, thanks. I think the one regret I've got is I'm 30 now, and I know, like, you had Nathan on the other day. How old is Nathan?
Yeah, he's early 40s.
Yeah, he made me feel a bit better about it, to be fair. And then it just made me think, what the fuck was I doing for so long? Like you just said, you were doing all the stuff before lockdown, you were looking after yourself, and for me, I feel like I've wasted so many. It's not regrets, because I enjoyed it, but it makes you think, what challenges could I have done in that time period where I just didn't do any exercise from about 18 to about 25, yeah. And yeah, that's a big regret I've got, but I've got to deal with it, really, haven't you?
Yeah, you've got time. Like, as you've shown, you've started doing the challenges now, and especially with running, like, the older you get, the more, like, suited to it you are. Like, if it was a strength challenge, then yeah, your numbers will start dwindling at a certain age. But running, you got your whole life. You can do a hell of a lot.
Yeah, I think for me, running is a lot of people. It's such a good crowd. It's such a good, what's the word I'm looking for? Just such a good group on social media that everyone's supportive of each other. I love it. I think it's class. I think it's brilliant the way. I think for me, it was daunting at first because when I first started running, I was really focused on. You've always seen it on TV, the Olympics, marathons, everything, and people are so focused on clock watching. I think it comes down to just don't worry about it as long as you're enjoying it. And it took me a long time to not want to compete with other people. It took me a long time to realize I'm only competing with myself. If you want to do an easy run, do an easy run. If you want to go for it, go for it. At the end of the day, you're doing a lot better than the people who are just sitting on their arse doing nothing, really. I mean, the only person you are competing with is yourself. I mean, I really love the point Nathan made the other day about all these events are called races, because they're just called races, but they are events. You compete with yourself doing all these things. Yeah, I think, back to what was your call to adventure. It was my call to adventure, COVID and lockdown, and just wanted to look after myself a bit more, but it has adapted over time as to try to encourage other people that this is easy, like it's not a hard thing to do. Like in running ridiculous distances, it is draining on your body, but it isn't a hard thing to do. If you can put a pair of trainers on, don't worry about what speed you do. Even if you do some walking, I encourage anyone to get outside and look after themselves a bit. And I'm hoping I've had a good impact on my friends, because I know some of them have started running a bit more. And I've made some good friends through social media, through some of the challenges I've done, who give me support whenever I need it. Yeah, I think my call to adventure has changed slightly in the sense that I want to encourage people to get outside a bit more. And for me, I've got an aim in mind where I just want to try to raise as much for charities as I possibly can for people who can't do this for themselves. If I can do it, I've got no reason not to do it. And there's people who can't do these challenges. They can't do running. They can't run a mile. If you can do it, it's a blessing to be in the pain. I think that's where my call to adventure was, to look after myself, and now my call to adventure is to continue looking after myself and to raise money for charities and try to encourage everyone to be a bit more active where they can, really. I think that's where I've changed a little bit. Like, some of my mates hate me because I will just fucking try to drag them out the front door, or I'll go into work and talk to the boys and be like, do you want to go for a run after work? The answer sometimes no, the answer sometimes yes. There's a lad I know who lives down the road from here, and he listens to your podcast, and I said to him, do you want to go for a run after I've done the podcast? And he's like, He's made up some excuse about his wife making plans for him. But yeah.
Okay. Well, if you're listening, you've got no excuse, because you got Jacob offering runs out to you, mate, and you've got me, so come for a run with us.
Yeah, Neil. Thanks, mate.
There we go, Neil. Called out. So from lockdown then, how has your running progressed? So you started running in lockdown, you've lost a ton of weight. What's it led to?
It led to May of 2020, well, April into May of 2021. Going back to the point you made about lockdown being negative, for a lot of people, it's horrible. They weren't close mates of mine in any stretch. I've had a couple of handful of conversations. I knew two lads who killed themselves during the first lockdown, and then not just those two lads, but lads everywhere were. And even now, suicide rates are high. It's a horrible thing to think about, but suicide in young, I think it's Men's Mental Health Month this month as well, isn't it? But men kill themselves every day. It's horrible. I know I've been in shit places myself, where running has made a real difference to that. Coming into May of 2021, I ran 4 marathons in 4 days, which I think I said to you before we started recording, I don't really do things by halves. Like, I've never done a marathon before that. But, my family has had caravans in Pembroke forever, and I took it upon myself after seeing Reese's challenge. I realised if he can do 870 miles in 20 days, then I've got no reason not to run 104, which is nothing compared to what that guy just did. So yeah, I ran 4 marathons in 4 days in April of 2021, going into May of 2021, which just so that was from Pembroke back to Cardiff, and it was horrible, but it gave me more reassurance that this is horrible, but the pain doesn't last forever. The feeling of knowing you've accomplished something, which you can then say for the rest of your life, you've done something not everyone has done. Like, not many people have done 4 marathons in 4 days. I mean, I don't know the percentages, but the percentage of people who've done a marathon isn't even that high. To say you've done 4 in 4 days, I was chuffed with myself, yeah. And then I carried on from there. 2023, I didn't do much. I just kept my legs ticking over because I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. I've kind of told myself I don't really want to do any. I'm sure we'll get onto it, but what I've just done. But these multi-day challenges, I've realised now I love them. I think they're a lot of fun. But they can be taxing on you. I think I've told myself I want to try and do one of them every 2 years now, just to give myself a year off in between. Not to give myself a year off doing any runs, but to give myself a year off in between. But yeah, going back to the 4 in 4 days, it made me realise that you're not made of cotton. You can do these things even if you do them at any sort of pace. Your body can manage as long as you look after your body. No matter what pace you do it in, you've done it. No one can take that away from you it's a big thing. Can we bring up what I've just done?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then that led to me doing a fair bit of running in 2023, and towards the end of 2023, I decided what I wanted to do next. Oh, do you know, I've gone back. So the ones I did, the 4 marathons I did in 4 days, I mentioned male suicide rates. I did that for the Mind charity. Raised, I think it was about 2,200, something like that. It was around that figure. I managed to raise that, which during lockdown I was really grateful for. Everyone was skint. A lot of people weren't working. I was chuffed to be able to do that. And then towards the end of 2022, my family, my granddad had died, and he'd had dementia for quite a long period of time. And then I decided, just around the anniversary of his death in December 2023, I decided I'm going to run from North Wales to South Wales. So I've done, essentially, it really bugs me that I've done 4 in 4 days, but I didn't actually do west to east. I did from Pembroke to Cardiff. I didn't go all the way to Newport, but the concept in my head is right that I've done from Pembroke back to Cardiff. So west to east, essentially. And then, where are we now? We're in June. So yeah, May I did from Lambert in North Wales back to Cardiff, which was 5 ultra marathons in 5 days. So yeah, and to this day I've never done a single 1 day marathon or a 1 day ultra. I've always done, I've done the 4 marathons in 4 days, and I've just done 5 ultras in 5 days, which was Lambert back to Cardiff. That was that was tough. That was really hard.
What was the daily mileage on that?
It worked out. It was 30 the first day, 31 the second day, 32, 34, and then the last day is a bit of a blip because my watch died on 30 miles, so I think it was about 33 on the last day, I think. The last day I think was 33-ish miles, so it worked out at 30, 31, 32, 34, and call it 30 because you go by what's on Strava, don't you? So,
it's not on Strava, it doesn't count.
Yeah, exactly, so it wasn't on Strava, didn't actually count, but it really bugged me that last day because I ended up losing 3 miles, but one of the boys managed to record it on his, and the 3 miles I lost ended up being about 800 feet elevation over those 3 miles, which I don't have recorded on my own Strava, but yes, that was. And that's what I've just done, really. Yeah. I actually think that what I did first, the 4 marathons, was actually a lot harder than 5 ultras. I think when I'd done the 4 marathons, I didn't really give it the respect I should have given it. I got in with the mindset that I know how to do a 5k at a certain pace and a half at a certain pace, so just slow down and it'll be fine. which is probably a bit of a bad logic. And when I did the I've been with my girlfriend for 3 years now, but when I did the 4, I wasn't with her, and I was just training in Cardiff, and you've got Caerphilly, you've got a bit of luck really, you've got more hills. In Cardiff, there's next to no hills really, is there? So I didn't do any sort of hill trailing. I really didn't give her the respect it deserved, but since I've been with her, she lives in Ebbw Vale, so I spend a fair bit of time up there. So I do a lot of hill training up there. You don't even realise you're doing it. You can walk out the door in the valleys and you're falling down a hill or climbing up one straight away. But that's the challenge I've just done, which was Lambert back to Cardiff. Yeah.
What made you think of that? What makes you think, you know what, I'm going to run across a country?
Well, I had done west to essentially eastern. I'm patriotic, mate. I fucking love Wales. I don't think there's a country like it where you can walk out the front door and maybe not where I live. I'm in the middle of the city, really, but I mean, you walk out the door and you're in the mountains. There's not many countries that have got. I think we really take it for granted what's on our own doorstep. You drive half hour from here, and you're in the valleys, you're in the mountains. You look left, wow. You look right, wow. And I just figured I'd never really been through Wales properly. I'd done Snowdon, but I'd literally me and some mates had done the 3 peaks, Ben Nevis, Scafell Pike, and Snowdon. We'd done that, but we literally drove to Snowdon and then drove home. We didn't spend any time up there. So I'd never really been up North Wales, and I wanted something. I didn't exactly want to just do 5 ultras running around Cardiff, but I told myself with this challenge, I wanted it to be bigger than the one I'd previously done. So with the death of my granddad, I raised money for dementia whilst doing this challenge. And there was a lot of things broken down to it. Firstly, the mileage. It just happens to be that North Wales to where I wanted to end worked out at about 160 anyway, which was, that was kind of lucky. So that was one factor. And then you've got this bloke who was running the length of Africa, which he was in the middle of doing that when I decided I was going to do this. And you just see things all the time about people running through their countries and running. I see that on my source. I don't know what comes up on your Instagram and TikTok, but you see all these challenges people are doing all the time, and I just figured, you know what, God's country, run from the top of that to the bottom. And as I'm sure you saw on my Instagram story, every hour or so I'm going, look at that fucking view. You can't fault it. That's what made me decide to do it from north to south, because I'd done west to essentially east, but and that's what made me realise north to south, just go for it, run through Wales. And my granddad was Welsh, quite a patriotic man himself, lived in Wales his whole life, and I knew I wanted to end at Pentook Rugby Club, which was the village my grandparents have lived in my whole life as well. So it all fell well. And the end of the 4th day was going to end in Ebbw Vale, where my girlfriend lives, as I said. Everything fell into place. There was no reason for me not to do it through Wales, really. That's the way I thought about it. And I figured I wanted to make it hard, because I knew you end up going through Snowdonia, you go through is it Cumbria or Cambria? Well, whichever one it is. Go through there, you go through Brecon Beacons National Park a little bit. I figured if I'm going to do it, make it difficult. Go for it a little bit, really. That was tough.
You said you've never done an ultra or marathon before, so how do you train for this?
I'm going to answer that by not really talking about the first 4, because I don't think I gave them the respect. I didn't give them the respect they deserved when I did that challenge. But going into the 5 and 5 days, I realised I know I can do it, because I'd done the 4 and 4 days. The 4 and 4 really disappointed me, because there was times where I walked where I probably didn't need to walk, looking back on it, and I could have been a bit mentally tougher. training for this meant being a bit selfish more than anything else, was looking after myself and putting myself before. I missed a couple of plans, and I'm sure my girlfriend can attest to it. There was times where she might have wanted to watch a film or something, and I'd be like, nope, I've got to go run, I've got to do something. I tried to make, leading up to it, from December to when I did it, to about 2 weeks before, I knew my shortest day was going to be 30 miles. So I tried to make sure, if I had a bad week, I did at least 30 miles. I did at least 30 miles of running during that week. And something I took away from this was I didn't run a lot. I did run a lot. I mean, I'm sure people look at my travel and say, yeah, you did run a lot. I knew I ran a lot. But for me, what I did was, before I did the last one, I was doing a lot of shorter distances on a lot of days. For this, I was taking days off. I was doing a lot more stretching. I found that I came out of this injury-free, nothing wrong with me in the slightest. I went for a run 3 days. I think I did a 5 miler 3 days after I finished. But everyone's body works a bit differently, really. And I think what I learned was to listen to my body a lot. If I didn't want to go for a run, I wouldn't go for a run. But I made sure I was doing between a 9 miler and a half twice a week. And that was a given. I have to do that without fail. And then I got into park runs because a couple of my mates were doing them, so I was doing a park run every Saturday. And then I really thought about it. I had days where I was doing multiple runs just to get used to the conditioning of my body of just being in pain, really. Days where I was doing longer runs. I was doing stretching just on my own in my own time for only 20 minutes, half hour a day, just to get used to. Yeah, I don't really know why you do stretching. I've never really thought about it, but I was doing it just because I was seeing it all over social media and the importance of how stretching can help you. As much as I find you get too much nonsense on social media about people offering you advice, but for me it really helped. Yeah, I was doing a lot of stretching, and I wasn't doing anything big in the gym. I was just going to the gym and maybe sitting on the bike for an hour, or doing a bit of functional work, bit of box jumps, bit of ski erg, things like that, just to keep my legs ticking over on the days where I wasn't running. So I was active every day, but I wasn't pushing myself to an extreme every day. And where I've mentioned before that I switched jobs, November last year I went into a new role in my company where I'm on my feet constantly. So even on days where I was having light training days, I was still getting between 12 and 15k steps in work, which you don't even realise you're doing it, but you're on your feet, you're being a bit active. And as much as my friend, she probably hates me, I was dragging him out for walks constantly as well. But I think my problem is my diet. I can speak for a lot of people who do a lot of running. You just tend to eat whatever you want, really. I think I had to learn to improve on my diet a little bit. As much as I wanted to eat everything, I was trying to be a bit more. I learned this time around what works for longer runs. So I was having a lot more oats and a lot more good carbs, and not just stuffing pizzas down my throat every chance I got. But yeah, I think I went into this with a proper plan of making sure I did a couple long runs a week, having multiple run days where you're running more than once in a day. And I think Nathan mentioned it the other day. Don't neglect the gym. I don't like it. I can't stand it. I don't want to be in there. For me, I feel like what was going back to my call to adventure was being out on the road running, like it was running. As much as a lot of people don't like road runners, I still haven't done any trail running. But what helped me was being out on the road. It was the gym. It was just a necessity in the end, and you just realised got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, really. Yeah, do the gym work, and it really does make a difference, as much as you don't enjoy it. I know you enjoy it, but yeah, for me, it's not something I enjoy. Yeah. I'm trying to get into it a bit more now. I'm trying to be a bit more conscious of it. I think now I'm starting to look after my body a bit more. As much as I know I'm in an okay physical condition, like I know I can run all day, I'm comfortable in that sense. No matter what the paces, I can go. But I've started doing push-ups, and I realised, fuck me, I need to do some work. Like, I really need to work on my actual physique a little bit, because Yeah, my diet's awful. It was good leading up to this challenge, but since then, I think what I did is I ate really well to lose all the weight, but now I've lost it. All I do is I run with the excuse I can just eat whatever I want. I feel like I could look incredible if I actually watched my diet, but yeah, that's something I'm working on now.
Yeah. So with your 5 and 5 then, what was the hardest moment of it? What was the moment where you're sort of just looking around and being like, is this worth it? Or did you have a moment like that at all?
Oh, 100%. And I think anyone who doesn't have them moments, like, I'm going to bring him up again because he was only here the other day. Nathan was in this Wild Horse 200. There's other people who were doing the Wild Horse. The boys have got this Epona 100 next week. Any ultras, anything. I can't speak for a one-day ultra. I couldn't tell you. But I think anyone who doesn't have those feelings, who says they don't have those feelings at any point, is chatting absolute shit. I think you'd be lying to yourself if you're going to have those feelings at some point. I know you're probably thinking it now. Like, fuck me, what am I doing? Why am I publicly announced I'm going to do this? Like, I have those feelings leading up to it now and again. As you're doing a long run and it's pissing down leading up to it, you're like, why have I said I'm going to do this? But then I had those feelings leading up to it, but then at the end of those runs, you feel incredible. You feel like, yes, that's why I've decided I'm going to do it, because I think as runners, we're all pretty selfish. We're all pretty selfish in the sense that, like, I'm really happy with the money I've raised for charity, and I'm going to continue to come up with challenges to raise more money for charity. But from a selfish point of view, I do this for me because I know how good I feel and what I've accomplished when I've done it. But going back to your question, it came up twice. Yeah, it came up twice during those 5 days. The first day was brilliant. I loved it. I had a really good time. The first day I went from Llandudno to Bala, which was a really nice run. I'd ended up in Summer Snowdonia National Park, and I hadn't done any recce's. I hadn't been up there to run any of the route beforehand, so I knew the route I was running. I'd had it all planned out, and I was on my own, and I had a whale of a time. I had a really nice day, because as much as I'd gone up Snowdon before, I'd gone up at like 4 a.m, and it was pissing down, so I didn't have any nice views. So as I'm running through this, you've got everything around you. And I think it was pure adrenaline, knowing, okay, I'm in this now. I'm doing this. That was a really nice day. And that day I only had my girlfriend with me, so she came along for the 5 days and brought our dog Hugo, who I'm running off first thing in the morning, and he's thinking, hang on, where's he going? But so I met her at certain points. I wasn't taking it too seriously. That was a really nice first day, knowing I'm in Snowdonia National, I can see everything. The second day, well, towards the end of the first day, you got a big stone tablets, what I call them, where they've got like Snowdonia National Park on them. Yeah. I tapped one of them on the first day, thinking, okay, I've come out of Snowdonia National Park. And I thought, okay, that was tough, but I really enjoyed it. And then the second day, I'm a couple of miles in, and the second day I realised I'm really in this now. And it was another day on my own, and it was horrible. I ended up in mountains, proper mountains. I ended up losing my, I had no phone signal or anything, so I'm plodding along, minding my own business, but in my own head, I'm thinking about her, I'm thinking about my mum and everything, because I've been sharing my live location, but I had no signal for about 4 or 5 hours, so no one could speak to me. That second day where I'm in mountains fully alone, I'm thinking, what the fuck have you done? Like, I'm thinking, I knew I was okay because I was on roads, but I think in one video, you might have seen it, I just said in a video, like, there's no one around within about 50, and I just screamed out loud, just for the sake of it. But I was thinking, what have I done here? Thankfully, after about 4 hours, she'd had the sense to drive on some of the B roads that I would have been on. She found me eventually as I was just plodding along. That second day, when I knew I was really in this challenge, that was pretty tough. That wasn't enjoyable, and it just felt like constant climbing. It wasn't, yeah, and I ended up losing views because it was. One point it was foggy, but you also had trees above you because you're going through lanes as well. So yeah, there wasn't many views on the second day. And going back to, I thought I was out of Snowdonia National Park, and every now and again you just see in the tablets again, thinking, hang on, am I in it? Am I out of it? Like, just give me some fucking flat ground, like. I just want to have a steady run for a little bit. But then I mentioned this on a podcast I did with the boys. It's I had to think about it, and I just thought, as much as I'm not enjoying this, it went back to genuinely, like, my granddad in my mind there, not so much him, but my family. Like, after when he died, all I could think about was that I hadn't been very present with my family at that point. I could have been a bit more active, but it was something I didn't want to be involved in, and that was really selfish of me. And I think part of the reason of doing this was to make myself feel a bit better about the actions I played leading up to when he passed. But my mum, my nan, my uncle, my auntie, everything they went up to leading to his death, what I felt with some fucking sore legs, just nothing in comparison to the months they had. I was thinking just, I know we're all told to not use a phrase like man up and stuff anymore, but I just told myself, stop being a bitch, like just get on with it. Like, there's people who have, your own family have had worse, like, it's just get on with it. And I told myself the same thing. It happened again in the fourth day, because much as I had two of my mates with me, I don't think they'd realised what they'd signed up for, in the sense that they were on bikes. So at one point I'm fucking trotting along, and I was like, yeah, go boys, just go for a cycle. So I was on my own for about 5 hours thinking, you bastards, but because I told them to go. But at one point during that, I was going up a big hill, and I was like, fuck, what have I done? But at that point you're over halfway, you know you're pushing it. But I told myself, there's people who are going through worse, so just get on with it. Like, just stop worrying about it, you're nearly done.
Yeah. On the flip side of that then, what was the best moment from the 5 in 5?
I got a couple, yeah, there's definitely a couple. The first was probably as I was coming through out of London. I was in some hills, and all of a sudden there's I'll show you the photo after, but as you're coming over a hill, there was just a big open view of the whole of Snowdonia, of the whole national park, and I was like, oh, that is insane. That blew my head. The best moment for me, it's going to sound cheesy as fuck, but I saw my girlfriend 3 times on the Saturday, and my dog, I saw her on the on the first day 3 or 4 times. She was my goal, I was just getting to her. Same on the second day. And then the third day, it strikes me as for me it was really important. Like, I knew I was pushing. I knew I was meeting one of my mates who does a lot of running. I knew I was meeting him halfway through the third day, and I knew at that point, I told myself, once you're with Matt, it's you're home sailing. You're not home sailing, but in my head again, you're halfway once you meet Matt. Meeting him was the boost. That was, of the whole 5 days, meeting, as much I'm really grateful for my 2 mates for doing the whole 4th day with me on their bikes. There was, yeah, do you know what? It was meeting Matt, and from halfway through the 3rd day until the end, that 2.5 days, that was amazing. That was incredible. And yeah, it was meeting Matt, and then the 2 boys on the 4th day with me, and the last day, that's probably the best day of my entire life. Like, waking up that morning and knowing I was going to be done that day, and I knew all my mates were going to be with me, but it's not often we're all together anymore. You probably realise you grow up, you all get lives, it is what it is. You try plan to have a beer with your mates, it just doesn't happen anymore, does it? Like, everyone's got lives, you might get one of them out, but you never get all of them. You don't get 12, 13 of them out. And I'd say to my girlfriends the night before the last run, and yeah, I'm going back on it now, but it was definitely Matt. Meeting Matt was the best moment of the 5 days. But then the last morning, where I had I think it was 15 of them in the end, all rocked up to her house, all in their Dimension t-shirts, and like, I took a moment on my own. I was like, yes, thank fuck. It was like, this is what I needed. Like, this was being with all them for that moment was incredible. And then we got by Ponty, and three of my other mates met me there as well. A lot of them didn't actually make the end. They stopped at the pub about 15 miles. Don't think they realised what they'd signed up for with an ultra. I ran one of them, and he was like, "Oh, where are you?" Because we ended up splitting up into groups. "Where are you?" This is my best mate at this point, and he was like, "Yeah, we're at the pub." I was like, "Sorry, what?" I was like, "Yeah, can you get it?" So I ended up bringing my old man, and he went and picked them up from the pub. But yeah, even doing 15, whatever they did, I'm grateful for anyone who was with me on that last day. So it was that, and it was definitely seeing my nan at the end as well. So yeah, you asked me for a best moment. I ended up said Matt's name a couple of times, and then everyone on the last day. And I spent the whole 5 days with my girlfriend, really. So it was lovely seeing her at the very end. I gave her a big hug, I had a little cry. But before that, I've been speaking to my nan a couple of times, a couple of days, and I broke when I saw her. Like, yeah, that was a really nice moment for me, and I don't know if it counts as best moment because by this point I was done. But mate, that pint of Guinness at the end, that's the best pint of Guinness I've ever had.
So doing something like this over 5 days, you're gonna spend a lot of time on your own, like you said. What sort of goes through your head as you're doing this? Like, do you have any sort of revelations about life, or is it just like, oh, I just got to get to that next lamppost, I've got to get to that next crossing?
I've had that, your second point there, I've had that thought sometimes, but in these 5 days, I never came up at all. There was, in my head, I was always, do you know, from about, I mentioned again, from the point I met Matt, I never had any thoughts. I don't think. It makes it sound like I was brain dead, but I didn't have any real thoughts. I just thought, I'm halfway to home. Let's enjoy this now. Let's just go through the motions. It wasn't fun, but I was enjoying it. I was having chats with the boys. It was nice. One time I really did have that thought was. I don't know if you know the moors in Ebbw Vale up by there. There's a pizza van up by there, and I knew full well once I climbed, it was like a 2.5 mile, 1,200 feet climb I had to do. Once I'd done that, I knew my girlfriend had ordered me a pizza, which I'm like, that was the one time I really thought, let's get to that point so I can demolish this pizza, and then but. It was lovely, but that was a big mistake because then I had to run 4 miles with a pizza in my stomach. Like, no, that wasn't pleasant. But yeah, I had a lot of those thoughts on the first and second day about I was always thinking, just keep going. I saw the hills as a break because I thought to myself, I'd done this in my training. I thought, I'm never going to run up all these hills for 5 days, so don't do it in training. Walk when you're going to walk. I really I was pushing not killing myself, but in my head, it wasn't so much looking for lampposts or things like that. It was always thinking, because we're in fucking Wales and they're everywhere, I'm going to come up a big hill eventually, so just go through your motions. Eventually you're going to get a little walk, and then you can have a break, and then you can have a bite to eat or something. Yeah, but that was one of the main thoughts going through my head constantly. Is I was actually looking forward to, as much as I hated them, I was looking forward to the hills because there were a chance to maybe walk a little bit as opposed to run. Revelations, yeah, mate, I really want anything. I don't think I'm much of an insightful person. The only annoying thing was on the Saturday, which was the day before the last day, which was the last day of the season. I was looking at my phone constantly because Cardiff City were playing, and they ended up, I think they lost 5-3. But yeah, there was me and the boys like, fuck me, this is shit. But yeah, revelation. Oh, no, yeah, it's a disappointing answer for me, sorry, but yeah, there's nothing I can really say that enters my head about a big revelation. I just went through the motions of I'm looking for big hills, like.
Yeah.
I thought, do you know what? Yeah, I think something I thought was, and I've said this a million times, if I can do this, anyone can do it. And I was thinking, people can do this. I'm hoping people, because I know one of the boys messaged me and told me he'd gone for a run that day. It was only a 5k, but he'd never done one before. Yeah. He'd gone for a 5k that day because he'd seen what I was doing, which made me feel incredible. And for me, it was. I don't know if I'd spoken to you at that point, but I'd spoken to the boys, and I knew a thought I'd taken away, so I wanted to be able to say, like, you don't take it too seriously. You don't have to do mega challenges to be able to run. You don't have to be running quick. I think something I want to take away was to be able to tell people, like, just get out and enjoy yourself. You're only competing with yourself. It's like the comparison is the thief of joy, is what they say. But like, yeah, I think I wanted to be able to tell people just enjoy running, no matter what the pace is, no matter what you're doing. Just as long as you're enjoying yourself, don't compare yourself to other people. Like, yeah, that's what I take away from it, really.
Yeah. So we spoke a lot about your 5 and 5, but I know you've got another challenge coming up, which you're keen to talk about. Yeah. So let's get into this one.
I don't know whether this is. Okay, I'll ask you a question first, because you know it now, because I'm told the right. Do you think this is harder or easier?
See, in my head, I think it's easier, but it's because I deal with monotony very well. So for me, my training, like I did a 2.5 hour tyre flip session where I'm going back and forth doing 5 tyre flips at a time, and I did 1,200.
Think about the film you can watch in that time. Like, I was staring at the tyre. I bet that tyre fucking hates you, honestly. Yeah, no, so on date, I haven't confirmed it yet. I'm going down the club some point next week. I'm sure I mentioned it. Cardiff City, my whole life. Absolutely love the club. It's the 125th anniversary of the club this year. Ideally, my date's going to be Sunday the 1st of June. I've spoken to some about it. We are on. I just don't know a definitive date. I said Sunday 1st of June there, didn't I? Sorry. Sunday 1st of September is going to be the ideal date. Otherwise, it'll be August or September. It's the 125th anniversary of the club. I've been given permission. I'm going to run 125 laps of our pitch, which you laughed when I told you earlier, which is, yeah, as you mentioned, monotony. But on a thing, it's a standalone thing. It's definitely not harder by any stretch. But for me as a person, I'm not like I know I'm going to be bored out of my head. I've been in that stadium a million times. I've never been in it empty, but yeah, so it's going to work out. About 50k, maybe just under, maybe just over. I don't know the definites until I actually do a walk on the pitch. It'll be some point next week, or maybe the week after. But yeah, it'll be some point soon where I'm doing a walk on the pitch, and yeah, so it's going to be 125 laps of Cardiff City's pitch, which yeah, I'm really happy I'm going to do it, because it's get comfortable being uncomfortable. Just yeah, get comfortable doing things you don't want to do, because then they become comfy. But yeah, it's the the mundaneness of it is really gonna kill me. But yeah, 125 laps of one football pitch.
Can I add to the challenge at all?
Go on.
Can I suggest that you don't have any headphones or music?
Oh, you're a bastard. You're a bastard. Okay, fine. Yeah, deal. You're doing this because I mentioned that, yeah.
I just think that if you're really going for the challenge of 125 laps, about 50k, you've done 150 miles in 5 days plus.
Yeah. With headphones in the whole time.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to push you physically. Like we're saying, it's going to be more of a mental challenge, and to really get to your limits, I think no headphones.
Oh, why am I here? Yeah, come on my podcast. Yeah, why not? Yeah. Yeah, do you know what? Fine, deal. I won't wear any headphones. That makes it harder. That makes it a lot harder. Yeah. I can't put you in my ears. I can't put Joe Rogan in. Can't put anything in my ears. Yeah. No headphones. No headphones. Yeah, that's. Yeah. No. Yeah. Deal. No headphones.
Yeah. I think for me, it's important to spend time with your thoughts and not have that external stimulus. And I think running is a great time to do that, because although you're active, you're doing stuff, it helps you just process everything. It gives you that freedom to just think. It's like getting in the shower. Like, how many good ideas do you have when you're in the shower?
100%. That's when I thought of that. But the last day of the 5, I had headphones in the first 4 days. The last day of the 5, we had a speaker, and it was only like a little handheld. When I was running with that in my hand because all the boys were there as well, and it died with about 15 miles left. So I did do 15 miles on the last day with no headphones and no music, which was nice to chat to people. But I don't know how much of this I'm going to do alone. So right now I hate you, but no, you are completely right. It's something that people have told me to do, and I've never wanted to. I was like, I don't know if I still want to be alone in my own head, but yeah, that's fine. I won't wear any headphones on the day. Thanks for that. Yeah,
that's alright.
That'll be the plan.
You got to expect me to try and up the standards coming on this podcast.
Yeah, no headphones for that day. Hopefully now because you've said that, more people will join me, just so I'm not.
And if you're listening, you're thinking of joining, don't turn up. Let him suffer. Be a right bastard about it. Like, just
leave me alone. My aim, if it's 50k, my aim is, because I've done marathons and I've done ultras, but I've never done a single one for time. So I think I'd want to try getting in the marathon having in the 4 hours would be my aim, which I've now said out loud, so now I've got to really try and do, which I hadn't said to anyone. Yeah, I've never done, as I say, I've done the 4 marathons and the 5 ultras, but I've never done a single day, so I might try push now to try getting in the 4. Because the thing is, I don't, there's no gradients at all, nothing like that. You wouldn't want a football pitch with a gradient anyway, so yeah, there's no gradient around. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I'll probably do it for the Cardiff City Foundation, which I've asked if I could do it for. I'll set up a GoFundMe and everything for that on the day. But yeah, that's the next thing I've got lined up anyway.
Yeah.
I've got more.
Feel free to share them if you want.
Yeah, no, I'll say it
publicly.
Yeah, I've discussed it with the boys now. I don't know what I'll do next year. I think I mentioned to you later. I think I want to do a 100-miler, whether it's one of the organised one or one of my own. I want to do 100 miles in one go, 100%. I think I'll do a 50 at some point just to ease myself in a bit, and then do 100 miles some point next summer, whether it be the opponent or just on my own as a solo one. I've only recently, so I did 2 10Ks. I did the Caerphilly 10K and I did the Cardiff Bay 10K, and I think it appeals to me more now. I've never done anything organised before, and it's the camaraderie of the people around you who all got the same goal, just to enjoy themselves and go for a run is really good. So I'm either going to look to do a 100-miler, or I might try to do all of Reese's Pegasuses next year. I think it's 4 or 5. Is it 4 or 5?
6.
Fuck me. Yeah, so he's got 6 Pegasus. Yeah, he's got the Pegasus, which I might try to do all them next year just to keep myself taking over. But I've thought about it. I've discussed it with some of the boys. But 2026, I want to go big. I want to go from Hampden Park, which is, as you can tell, I'm football orientated wherever I can be. I'm obsessed with football. I want to go from Hampden Park, which is the Scottish National Football Stadium in Glasgow. I want to run from there to Wembley in London, which is the English National Football Stadium, back to the Cardiff City Stadium, which is the Cardiff City, which is the Welsh National Football Stadium. I want to go from Hampden Park to Wembley to Glasgow, which is 508 miles. I haven't figured out a time frame. In my head, 10 days. 51, just under 50 a day. Yeah, that'll be my plan for 2026, April 1st. I've done the logistics alone. I've been looking at it for about 2 weeks now, but I haven't actually planned it. So it might be more miles. Hopefully not, but yeah, it looks like it being 508. Just yeah, and that's my plan for that year, which is 508 in 10 days. That'll be my plan.
That's a big goal there.
It is, and it is, but I'd rather get it out in the open sooner rather than later, just so I'm accountable to do it. Like, I think with the challenge I just did, I posted a lot about it, and I posted early to keep myself accountable. Like, I could have not posted anything until the month before, but obviously raising money for charity as well. I find when you do big challenges, people donate when you're actually doing it, when you're in the challenge. But it helped me get the publicity I needed. I got a lot of followers from the running community about what I was doing, and a lot of people were really supportive and really nice about it. And it's great to now be in that community a little bit more. It really is. But yeah, that's going to be the challenge. I want to do these things to raise money for charities. That's what I want to do. Like I want to get to a certain age and knowing. Part of it is the selfish aspect of knowing I've achieved all these things myself, but part of it is being there's people who can't do certain things. I've got no reason not to do these things and raise money for the charities for people who can't do certain things. That's the way I look at it now.
Yeah. Have you thought about doing any challenges that aren't running related?
I see it's go big or go home. Everyone's doing Ironmans now, aren't they? Everyone's doing one, and I've recently I've got a bike. I had a bike. I just didn't touch it. I'm gonna go for a cycle at some point next week. An Ironman is it's my thought, but I think I should probably just do a triathlon first. Yeah, an Ironman is my thought, and I've got friends who live in Cork as well. So I have looked at the Cork Ironman next year as a potential go-to, but I think I need to spend the summer figuring out if I don't know if I've got it in me. As I mentioned, I don't do a great deal of gym work, so I don't know how good my swimming is. I haven't swam in years, so yeah, I'd love to give an Ironman a try, which I will do I'm 30 now. I think by the time I'm 35, I'll do an Ironman, and then maybe another Ironman if I enjoy it. But yeah. I know I've got the running down, but it's just the rest of it. Yeah. That's where I stand with it. Yeah, I'll try doing Ironman before I'm 35. That's my aim anyway.
There's definitely a lot of challenges on the doorstep for you, and this seems to come about quite quickly as well.
I think for me, I never put weight on, but after I finished the 4 marathons, there was a lull. Like I feel like I don't know about you, but I don't know if you've always had goals, but my goal was to lose weight, which I've thankfully managed to do. My goal was to do 4 marathons in 4 days, and then I had no goal. Like I as much as I enjoy this, I feel like I need something to push myself towards. I can't just get out my front door and do it. I can. I was doing it, but I just felt like I was not really challenging myself. I was just going for easy runs, or if I was going for long runs, I was bored doing them. I felt like, why am I doing this? There's no need in doing it. And I put a little bit of weight back on, not much, but yeah. I got lost it to do the 5 again. But yeah, I think I need a goal just to keep my mind focused on something. Yeah. I think my missus hates me for it, but yeah. Yeah, I think I need a goal just to keep my mind focused on something, 100%, yeah.
I'm the same. That's why I've got my 12 labours, that I've called it, my 12 big challenges, which the Tyre Marathon's one of. And it's just like, after this, I know I've got 9 more challenges to do. And it's like, yeah, I'm set for the next 10 years. Yeah, exactly. Like, I've always got something to be training for. There's no excuse for me not to train. Like, I've got to do something. Yeah,
that's what I mean. I need a goal. I need something to be happening. Yeah, 100%, yeah.
What advice would you give to the listeners about setting goals? How can they set themselves a goal that seems achievable but is going to also push them outside their comfort zone? Because for you was like, I do a little bit of running, I'm going to try and do 4 marathons in 4 days.
Absolute clown, honestly. If you're going to set a goal, be realistic with your time frame. Like I gave myself 6 months for that, but I suppose it's a bit counterintuitive me saying that because you don't know what the realistic time frame is for your own goal. I don't think you should set any goals at first. I think the idea is just to get comfortable with what you're doing, whether it is running. And if you have a goal in mind, do you know what? If you have a goal in mind, that goal is your goal. It's no one else's goal. It doesn't matter what anyone thinks about it. For me, unless you're an athlete of some description, like I don't think I am. I know you're the adventure athlete, but like, I think I'm a bloke who likes to run. I don't put myself in any sort of bracket. I just really enjoy running. For me, I don't think goals should ever be time orientated, really, unless you're in peak physical condition. For me, a goal should be about getting something done and enjoying doing it. I think that's the way I look at it, is enjoy the challenge you've set yourself, and the challenge is for you. It's not for the people who are following you, and the people who put you down, the people who can't do what you're doing. You're never going to get put down by anyone who's doing better. You're never going to get put down by anyone who's doing better than you. And I think it took me a while to get to the stage where I realised I'm doing this for me. Yeah, I think people need to set goals and realise they set the goals for themselves. They're not setting them for anyone else. No matter how long it takes you, just push yourself to the best of your ability, really. Yeah, set your goals for yourself above anything else.
Yeah. I know for me...
ask for support. And if you... the running community, I mean, that's goals in any walk of life. I'm not sort of guru. I can't sit here and talk about any walks of life. But in the running community, no one is negative. Everyone is helpful to everyone. Everyone is so nice to anyone. You can message anyone and ask them for any sort of support. Like before I did the 4 marathons, I reached out to Reece and asked him for support. He didn't need to. He spent half hour on a FaceTime with me, talking me through, because I had so many questions I fired off at him. Like, it's just, they're the nicest people. Anyone can offer you any advice anywhere. I'll try to, even if it just means I'm blabbering nonsense at you for 10 minutes, but yeah.
Yeah, I think when it comes to goal setting for me, something that really stands out is just how long the idea sticks in my head. Because, as you can imagine, I have a lot of challenge ideas, and it's so hard for me to pick which one I want to do. But it's just whichever one sticks in my head the longest. Like at the start of this year, I was like, oh, I'm going to do an Everest rope climb. And then I was like, oh yeah, I do want to do that, but I can't be bothered to start training. And it just didn't stick for long. But then the whole time I was like, the Thai marathon seems doable. Like I could do a Thai marathon. And then I was like, no, I said I'm going to do this Everest rope climb. So then I was like going about telling people, yeah, I'm going to do an Everest rope climb. But in the back of my head, I was thinking about the Thai marathon. And I was thinking ahead of like, oh, what can I do after the rope climb? And if it's getting to a challenge like that where it's like, oh, well, what am I going to do after it? Then I don't think you're really committed to that goal and you need to just... That's why
I really want. I like the idea of an Ironman, but I've now got this 125 laps of the pitch, which I think, excuse me, in one respect is easy in terms of what it is, but in another respect, I'm not going to calm my headphones either. Thank you very much. It's quite a tough thing to be doing. Like I go for one thing at a time normally. Yeah, 100%. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, don't overdo yourself either. Really, just have one goal at a time. There's no need to push your limits. No. You've got as we've said, Nathan is in his 40s. He's setting goals. He's completing them. One goal at a time. You've got all the time in the world, really.
Yeah. And I really liked what you said about like the goal is yours. It's irrelevant of what other people think of it, because like for me, where I've done challenges before, I've always thought, oh, I need to step it up. I need to do something bigger. Where it's not necessarily about that. It's about, well, what do I find interesting? Like, I really want to do the 4:48, the David Goggins running challenge. And
I've done that twice. I love it. It's so much fun.
Yeah, but every time I've gone to do it now, I've been like, oh, well, it's not as hard as doing a 50-mile barefoot walk. It's not as hard as doing a tire flip marathon. And I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't really matter because, like, it's just something I want to do. It doesn't matter that it's not bigger and better than what I've done before. It's just a challenge for me.
It's very mentally draining. It's very mundane. Yeah. Which is right up your street, to be fair. But yeah, the 4x48 is... You can't really go anywhere. You can't really go... I'm going to drive somewhere and go for a run. You need to be settled, really, don't you? So you're running around... For you, you'd be running around here. And like I've seen these roads a million times. Why am I doing 4 miles by here again? Like that's the position you find yourself in. But I don't know about you, but for me, I've done that twice now, and I need company for it. That's the way I felt about it. I might try to do that alone at some point, but yeah, that's a lot of fun. Yeah. It is fun.
That's another thing as well. It is where I've had guests on that have done challenges as well and like up the stakes. It then makes me feel like I'm not doing enough again. But again, like we've said, it's your challenge because I had Bob Thomas on. Do you know who Bob Thomas is?
I've heard the name.
Yeah, so he did the 4x4x48 4 times back to back.
Oh, yeah, I saw that, yeah.
So he did 8 days of just doing the 4x4x48, and it's just like, well, I can't even...
Have a day off, Bob. Have some sleep, fella.
Oh, he's insane. I've got so much time for Bob. I'm doing some work with him at the moment, actually.
When we did it last time, we did an extra 4.4 to make it 2 marathons, but that's ridiculous. That's nuts. Yeah, I think your goals need to be your own. It's irrelevant what anyone else thinks of them. If anyone wants to downplay them, it's because they're not fucking doing anything. Like, that's the way. Like, I can't remember who said it, but it's like the people who put you down are not. You're never going to take. People who are better than you aren't going to criticise you. They're going to support you. Like, it goes without saying. Like.
On the flip side of it, though, even though it is your challenge, like, I do feel like either you need to or someone else needs to try and bring a bit more ambition to it as well. Like I've said, like, you're not going to do it with headphones now. Just add in that extra layer of, like, okay, this is where you think your limit is. Like, let's see if we can push past that. There's always that more for you to be doing, and it's not like I think you're shit for doing that, like, don't bother trying. It's like, no, well done for doing that, but let's up the ante a bit. So I feel like that's needed, and, like, 100% Bob's that person for me, because whenever I tell him I've got a challenge idea, he's like, oh, that's good and all, but let's make it harder. Like, I did have you heard of the 496?
No.
So you run a kilometre corresponding with the day of the month. So on the first day you do 1 kilometre, second 2.
Yeah, I've seen that. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. So I did that in January this year, and the first message I got when I posted that I was doing it was from Bob being like, "Why aren't you doing it in miles, Will?" And I was like, "For fuck's sake, Bob!" Now it's in my head. I got to go back and do it in miles.
I've seen it. It's a mad amount of mileage, isn't it?
Yeah. So over the
when I voiced it, it's like 512. I want to say.
It's 496. That's why it's the 496.
Oh,
so
yeah,
over the month, 31 days in the month, 496 miles.
Miles, yeah.
But I did it in kilometres. Yeah. So, yeah, I did. It was easier. Still not easy.
But in miles, mine, that's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
That's insane, like.
But again, it's something that Bob's done, and now that he said it, I'm like, fuck, I gotta do it now at some point, so...
You see, I feel like I could do it, but... And that's, it's going to sound like excuses, but your work life and your life just take over sometimes, doesn't it? And you just got to be selfish and take that time for yourself, really.
Yeah.
100%.
That's a very good point, to be fair, because, again, with social media, we're saying how good it is and stuff, but there's also that negative comparison that you end up doing.
100%, mate. People look at social media and think, oh, I can do that, and it's like, don't get. And I don't, no slight on these people, they've earned their way to be able to do the things they're doing, but... I mean, people, they do this for a living. They're sponsored full time and everything, and they've got the time to do this. Like, you still have your 9 hour day job. Like, it's not. You have to work. You have to earn a living. Don't kill yourself because you've seen someone on social media running the length of fucking Africa. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
That bloke's an animal, by the way. Like.
Fair play, Russ Cook.
He's running to Germany now, isn't he?
Yeah. He's doing running to all the England Euro games, isn't he?
Mad lad. On your own, fella, like.
Yeah, but you got him. You got Ashley Kane, who's doing an Ultraman. So he's run from, like, South England to north of Scotland, cycled back, and now he's kayaking.
Yeah, I think he's got like 40 days left with the kayak, which is going to be the hardest. But the kayak is the bit I'm like, yeah, no, not for me. Like, no. There's that Johnny. Do you know Johnny Davis?
Yeah, he did the London Tube.
He did the London Tube. He's just put on his socials that he's running the 5 capitals. In September, I want to say, where he's running from Edinburgh to Belfast to Dublin to Cardiff to London. It's 900 kilometres and he's going to do it in 10 days, which is it's good going, to be fair. But that's what I mean. No slight on him, but he's worked his way up. He's worked his social media up. He's got the sponsors. He can do it for a living. People need to not compare themselves on social media all the time.
Yeah, and that's where I like my little 1-day challenges or 2-day challenges. Is it's like, no matter what, you can always find that little bit more to give, the way to make it harder, like without the headphones. With me, I'm like, I'll do a marathon, and then it's like, oh, by the way, I'm going to flip a tyre. It's like there's always that little bit more that you.
How many days do you realistically think you'll do it in?
I've given myself a similar rule to these like ultra long ultra marathons, where it's like you can have a 2-hour kip. Like if you spend more than 2 hours at an aid station, like that's your DNF. So
No, that's a sound logic. Yeah, that's a good shout. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm really hoping it doesn't take more than 48 hours because the sleep deprivation will fucking wreck me, and also I'll have to get back to work. So
Yeah.
there's that too. But yeah, that's going to be a rough couple of days. But
I don't know even the slightest.
I don't think anyone does. It's just strange because I don't realistically know distances that I cover in my training. I know the amount of tyre flips I do, and that's just a habit of counting because I've got nothing else to do. So I'll count when I go there and back, and I know that's 10 flips. So then I count to the highest I've had to count to is 120 because I've done 1,200. So I've just been like counting, go there, on the way back, then I'm like, oh, 1, there, back 2, okay. And I know it's roughly like a minute as well, at a fairly decent pace. So then I know how many I've done, but I have no idea what distance that is. So when I'm trying to compare it to a marathon, I'm like, have I done a mile? Like, is that good if I've done like a mile in an hour, or have I done like 400 meters? Like, I honestly have no fucking clue. And it's like, when it comes to then doing the marathon, I can't really gauge on how long that's going to take because I just don't know how far I've gone so far.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, it's going to be fun though. I'm excited for it. Very nervous, but
That's the best thing about these. If you're not, nerves is a given, but I just don't think. Yeah, don't set yourself a challenge if you're not going to be excited about it.
yeah.
Like if you're not excited about something, then don't do it. Like there's no point.
And from doing this podcast, I've realised that it's okay to fail. Like, how many other people are going out and going to try and flip a tyre for a marathon? Not many.
Exactly, it's the comparison of it. Like it's just all down to you.
Yeah. And no matter how far I get, I'm going to have pushed myself to a new limit, and if I don't make it, I can always set another date. I don't know if I want to afterwards. But
like you never fail. You learn, don't you? It's not. It's as much as we all say. That's where I like the fact they use DNFs and like did not finish. And like you didn't fail, you just didn't finish. Like it's a learning curve. You'll come back, you can do it again. Like it's not the hardest thing in the world.
yeah.
What you're doing probably is though. It is hard.
I looked it up, and there's someone else that has done a tyre flip marathon, but they were going home and like sleeping at night, and then they'd get up the next day and go and do it. And I was like, does that really count if you've like left what you're doing?
Left the zone, left the area, like.
Yeah, then it's just like you're just doing, like in my head,
Just doing a long workout each day.
Yeah, essentially, because it's like I could probably do that, and I'd split it up over like a week, and I'd be like, yeah, I've done like 4 miles a day. Okay.
Yeah, I get your point actually. Yeah, it's fair play, but yeah, it's a bit different in it. It doesn't count.
And then there's these guys that I've spoken to one of them as well to get some advice on this, and he did the marathon but as a partner, so there was 2 of them doing it, and he said it took him like 34 hours, and it's like they're taking it in shifts doing it, and I'm like, fuck, so you've both done like a half marathon tyre flip, so fair play, that's more than the world record is anyway, but like, yeah, you've done it as a pair, and I'm like, I have to do that on my own.
So you're essentially gonna. That's a good. It gives you a good base, doesn't it? Because it gives you like, let's say, a 14-hour window. If they've done it in 34 with pairs, so they've had breaks.
Yeah.
Seems doable. Nothing fun, but seems doable.
Yeah, we'll see. Because the longest I've done it for is 2.5 hours so far. So yeah. 40 plus. Only got to do that another 20 times.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it sometimes. Just break it down, and you just think, do it once, just do it again and again and again. Yeah.
Everyone says that, and they're like, that motivates me, because then it's like those little steps. But then it makes me realise how big the challenge is, because like I'll break it down. It's like, I've got to do that 2 hours 20 times, and then I'm like, but in that 2 hours, I was thinking about, like, I've got to do the hour twice, which means I've got to do half hour 4 times.
It's what you do with running as well, isn't it? It's like you've got to do a half marathon. You're only going to do 5k 4 times. Like it's a really weird outlook on it, but yeah, about 4 and a bit times. But yeah, I don't do it personally. I've done it once or twice. I'm like, yeah, that's just annoying me now. Like, stop doing maths in your head and just go. Like, it's not.
I just get so demotivated from it because it's just then like, well, if I've had to break it down this much for like my shorter session, my 2 hours. How the fuck am I going to do that 20 times?
Well, I think your mind's not on it then, because you're thinking about the maths as well. But for me, the maths just does my head in. Like, no, I'm fine, thanks.
Oh, fair enough. I feel like you're going to be counting laps on the 125 you're doing though.
Yeah, which I don't want to, but it's the only way I'm going to count how many I've already done. Like, but in my head, I'm thinking, I think I haven't shown this the respect it's going to deserve. Just the mundaneness of it. Because in my head I'm thinking, football pitch isn't that big. 1, 2, 3, and then I'll get like 40 and think, fuck, this is going to take a while.
I'll give some advice on this as well, and you might completely ignore this. But what I found with doing my tyre flips is if I've got how many I want to do, say I want to do 1,000 tyre flips, once I've counted to my 50 there and back, I find it really motivating to count up on the first half because it's like, you're like, look how far I've come. Whereas on the second half, you're just getting to points and it's like, I'm just fed up of counting up. Like, I've been going for ages. Then start counting down. And then you're like, okay, I'm one closer to finishing. And then when you get to like the last 10, it's like, okay, now I can give it some. So that would be my advice. Count up.
So count like 70 and then count the rest down.
Yeah.
Good shot, actually. I didn't even think about it like that. I would have literally counted up the whole way. And that would have been really depressing. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, start counting down and then you'll get to a point where it's like, at first it will seem like, fuck, I've still got like 50 to go. And then you tick off one and then it's like, okay, now I've only got 49. And then when you start seeing like 25 and you're like, I'm already halfway done from where I was. And then like the closer you get, the more you get excited for finishing.
Yeah. That makes sense, actually. That makes a lot of sense, yeah. I'm gonna go for a run later and go around the lake without any headphones in. I think that's gonna be my plan.
I've sold it to him.
Yeah, you have. You've sold it well.
Bully someone else into another challenge. Oh, amazing. Well, if people want to keep up to date with your challenge, where can they go find you?
That's a really good question.
I think you're the first guest that just doesn't know their Instagram handle. Oh, actually, no, Sarah, whose podcast is getting released this week, she didn't know her Instagram handle either. So.
I don't... yeah, so it's Lamb, L-A-M-B, double B though, L-A-M-B-B-1-8, yeah. That's why I didn't know it, because I did it years ago. Lamb with a double B, 1-8. You can click on it, you just see photos of me eating bananas on TikTok and everything as well. So yeah, that's all it is. It's just me running on there.
There we go. And can't forget about our weekly challenge. What would you set as the challenge for the listeners this week?
I've thought about this, and for me, it was a real difference. And I know you have a lot of trail runners on, so don't come at me, lads. But even if it's a trail run, to be fair, what I would say as a challenge to anyone who's started running or has taken up running. I recently did the Caerphilly 10k and the Cardiff Bay 10k. I'd never done anything organised before. My challenge would be to anyone would be to sign up to something. Even if you're scared about it, I wouldn't even be concerned about the pace you do it on the day, but to sign up to something because you realise the camaraderie on an event day of any sort of running event it's world class. Everyone's so nice, everyone gets along, everyone's so friendly with each other. Yeah, the camaraderie of the race and how nice you feel running in a massive group of people and just the pleasure you take away from it. That'd be what I'd say for anyone to do, is to sign up to any sort of event.
Amazing. Well, thank you for coming on and driving.
Thank you very much.
See me, and good luck with your challenge.
Thank you for having me. Top man.
Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Adventure Athletes podcast. If you want to find out more about our guests, check out the links in the description below, where you'll also find a link to our website our socials, and my Big Moose fundraiser. Let us know in the comments who you want to hear from next, and we'll try and get them booked on as best we can. And if you want to get involved with anything Adventure Athletes, we've got so many things going on. We've got our programming that we'll do for people trying to take their next step into their own personal adventures. We'll do sports massage. We've got events that we're organising both online and in person, and we've got some different activity days based around getting you outdoors and learning something new. So if you want to get involved, check out the website. If you want to find out more about the guest, check out the links in the description. And yeah, let us know who you want on next.